Hello and welcome again to the next lesson in the Perfectly Spoken Advanced course. I'm Andy Nicol, the course tutor for the advanced course. And in this lesson, which is lesson 47, we'll be looking at the vocabulary of the language of travel. Okay. Again, as always, it's level C1 in terms of the Common European Framework. That's advanced, or if you're more familiar with IELTS, more or less 7.5 on the IELTS scale. So, we're going to look at the following. The differences between city break, travel, trip, journey and voyage. This language is kind of revision of B2, just to gently introduce you into it. Then we'll be looking at idiomatic expressions related to travel. Then we'll be looking at some travel verbs and phrases, and then some adjectives to describe places. So, first on the list, as I've mentioned, is the travel, trip, journey, voyage, and indeed city break. Travel most commonly is used as a verb, the verb to travel. It is a noun as well, but as a noun it refers to travel in general, not a specific piece of travel, not a trip, okay? For example, the very familiar saying, travel broadens the mind. Travel makes you more cultured, more knowledgeable, etc. It broadens the mind. This concept of travel in general. A journey is used to refer to an individual piece of traveling when you travel from A to B, for example, on the train, plane, in the car, and does not refer to the time you spend at your destination. It's specifically going from A to B. Perhaps stopping off on the way, but it's the A to B, not your final destination and the time you spend there. So the train journey from London to Brighton takes around an hour. Trip refers to a single event, unlike travel, and is everything. It's the time it took you to get there, your journey, and get back, and the time you spent there. The whole thing is your trip. My trip to New York was amazing. City break is a short trip, typically a city popular with tourists. We're looking at places like Amsterdam, Venice, Istanbul, these kind of places. I went on a city break to Venice last autumn. It was so romantic. And then finally, voyage. Voyage is less used these days, obviously, because travel, we tend to fly everywhere and we don't spend days, weeks, months traveling as before. It was typically a long sea journey. We'll still obviously encounter this in reading and so on about the past and so on. A long sea journey. Okay, so try to complete the sentences with the best word. So my husband's next business something is to Buenos Aires. So it's the whole thing, it's the journey there and back and the time spent there, and the answer is trip. In fact, this is the typical collocation. We say a business trip. We don't say a business journey or a business travel. It's a business trip. Okay, the next one. The something of Captain Scott's ship, the discovery to the Antarctic, ended in disaster. He and his team tried to be the first to reach the South Pole. They were beaten by the Norwegians, a guy called Roald Amundsen, I think. And unfortunately, Captain Scott and I think most of his team perished. They died in the journey. The ship, the Discovery, in fact, was built in my hometown of Dundee in Scotland, and you can still see it there next to the new Victoria and Albert Museum. So the long sea journey of Captain Scott's ship, the voyage, of Captain Scott's ship. Number 3, special offer. This is like an advert you might see. A weekend city something to Amsterdam. Don't delay. Tickets are going fast. And so it's a city break. Next one. I'd much rather something by train than by car. It's far more comfortable. Much rather means I would prefer. So we're looking for a verb here. The only one which is in fact a verb is travel. I'd much rather travel by train than by car. Well, obviously break exists as a verb, but with a totally different meaning, and trip means to catch your foot on something or fall over. Yeah, they are verbs, but with totally different meanings. I'd much rather travel by train than by car. She won the something of a lifetime, a whole month in Barbados. This is like a fixed expression, the something of a lifetime. But it refers to the whole thing, the journey there and back, and the time spent there. It's a trip of a lifetime. I rarely book my holidays through a something agency. Nowadays, I buy everything online. The agency that sells you holidays, flights, the hotel destinations, etc., is a travel agency. Okay, here's the next one. Remember, you can always pause the recording at any point if you need some time to think. I get really bored on long something, so I always take a book with me. I don't know, I'm sitting on a train for hours on end, get really bored. So it's going from A to B, and it's journeys. I get bored on long journeys. During my first something to London, I saw Big Ben, the London Eye, and all the other famous sites. So this is obviously not just A to B. It's talking about a specific event, not in general, so it's a trip to London. Number 9, when would you like to something, sir? This is the ticket desk at the train station. On Monday morning, or the ticket office, on Monday morning, afternoon, or evening. Again, the verb here, when would you like to travel, sir? Number 10, why not book a something to Istanbul this summer? The Blue Mosque and the Bosphorus Bridge are stunning. Again, trip. You could here put city break as well. That's another possibility. Number 11, on long sea something, sailors would often get scurvy for lack of vitamin C. This is true in the 18th, 19th centuries. Sailors would fall ill because they didn't get enough vitamin C. They used to eat citric fruit to avoid it, and this is why British people became known as limeys, because they were eating limes to avoid getting scurvy, the sailors. So a long sea journey is a voyage, so long sea voyages. You could say long sea journeys as well, but voyage is more descriptive. And then the last one, pass me the brochure. The brochure is the glossy magazine with all the holiday destinations, the hotels, prices, etc. I want to see their suggestions for this summer's something destinations. And the answer is travel. Here you could say holiday destinations, but it's not one of the options we've got. So travel destinations. Okay, so that's trip, travel, voyage, journey, and city break. Let's have a look now at travel idioms, idiomatic expressions, fixed expressions in English, related to travel and transport. So, can we match these phrases with their meanings? Whenever I go on holiday, I usually travel light. So the next picture, somebody taking a selfie there. Personally, I can't stand them. I was in Venice when the selfie stick came out and everybody was using it and got a bit annoyed. But anyway, whenever I go on holiday, I usually travel light. What's the meaning? Is it A, away from places that visitors normally go, improved significantly, to do things in the wrong order, to travel with very little luggage, extremely fast, or useless, unhelpful, or unnecessary? And the answer is, of course, to travel with very little luggage. D. We found a really quaint little restaurant off the beaten track. Quaint means kind of sweet, picturesque, pretty, that kind of thing. Off the beaten track. Pause the recording if you need time to think about it. And of course the answer is A, away from the places that visitors normally go, not the typical places that people visit, not, for example, in the centre of the town or whatever, off the beaten track. His sister talks a mile a minute, and it's really hard to follow what she's saying. It's difficult to understand her. She talks a mile a minute. What could a mile a minute mean? And the answer is, in fact, extremely fast. Extremely fast. I feel like a bit like a fifth wheel here. Is there anything I can do to help? I feel a bit like a fifth wheel here. So this is kind of logical if you think about it. For stability, most vehicles only need 4 wheels, a car, for example. So what would a fifth wheel be? And the answer is F, useless, unhelpful, or unnecessary. I know some big articulated lorries have lots more than 4 wheels, but in general, a fifth wheel is unnecessary. So if you feel like a fifth wheel, it means that you feel that you are kind of not helping or useless, etc. The next one, you've put the cart before the horse again. First you have to add the butter, then the cream. Put the cart before the horse means C, to do things in the wrong order. If you think about it, a horse is supposed to be in front of the cart to pull the cart. If you put the cart before the horse, it's the wrong way around. And the last one, his game's really stepped up a gear. A gear is obviously in a car, the stick that you use to help you to get up a slope or so on, or to can be used to slow you down, etc., with engine braking and so on. So his game has really stepped up a gear. He's gone up a gear. He's playing much better than last season. And the answer is got better, improved significantly. You know, he's putting in more of an effort, etc. He's stepped up a gear. Okay. So there were some travel idioms. Obviously, there are lots more. It's just a selection. And let's look now at some other verbs and phrases. So we've got chill out, get away, go on, set off, soak up, and wander round. And there's a nice picture of the Grand Canal in Venice to get you in the mood. So the first one, we something at the crack of dawn. Crack of dawn means very, very early in the morning when the sun just comes up. Dawn is sunrise, but the expression crack of dawn, at the crack of dawn, means very early in the morning, to make sure we missed the traffic. So we're looking for a verb to mean to leave, to start your journey, and the answer is set off. We set off. We started our journey. We set off at the crack of dawn. Number 2, we'd love to something safari in Kenya. We just adore wild animals, elephants, lions, and so on. And so what co-locates with safari is to go on safari. Go on goes with other expressions to do with travel, go on holiday and so on, and go on safari. Number 3, if you visit Girona, this is a beautiful city near where I live, in Catalonia. It's very near the Pyrenees. It's got a very old town. Be sure to something the old town where you can see the beautiful cathedral and the Arab baths. So meaning to walk around at leisure without, hurrying to places, to wander around the old town. Spend your time walking around without being in a hurry, to wander around. Number 4, wherever I go on holiday, I love to something the atmosphere and the culture. I love to absorb it. I love to take it in. I love to soak up the atmosphere and the culture. I don't just do the typical tourist thing of sitting in a hotel and going to the pool. I actually go out to get to know the place, the culture, the cuisine, the food, etc. I soak up the atmosphere and the culture. Number 5, after a long day sightseeing, I like to something in the evening listening to live music in a local bar. So the day you spend wandering around the town, as in number 3, but you're very tired, so you just want to relax, listen to some music, etc., is chill out. To chill out in the evening. And the last one, you look really tired, exhausted. Why don't you something from it all and book a holiday? So expression is something from it all, meaning to go away so that you can disconnect, go away on holiday, etc., have a break. And it's get away from it all, get away from it all. And finally, we want to look now at some language to describe places, adjectives, basically to talk about places that you visit on holiday. So we've got bustling. The T is silent. Bustling. Deserted. Remember, the ed ending of adjectives and verbs is pronounced as an extra syllable only after T or D. In this case, after T. Desert, deserted is an extra syllable. Picturesque, picturesque. Remote, tacky, and unspoilt. So another little holiday destination picture for you there. So the village was so something, it was just like a postcard. It was quaint, it was pretty, it was almost as if it was just like a postcard. Very beautiful, very photogenic, etc. Picturesque, picturesque. There are very few something beaches on the Mediterranean coast. There are hotel complexes and other developments almost everywhere. In other words, there are very few beaches which have not been built upon, untouched by people, and the answer is unspoilt. There are very few unspoilt beaches. Number 3, my parents always bring me back cheap something souvenirs when they go on holiday. That should say go on holiday, like fridge magnets and plastic Eiffel Tower, Big Bens or whatever. So it's cheap, not very nice, a bit there, for want of a better expression. The word is tacky, cheap plastic, not very nice, really, tacky. Number 4, the town centre was lively and something with tourists both day and night. It's a word meaning full of people, who are a lot of movement, a lot of activity. Bustling with tourists both day and night. Number 5, I love to go to really something destinations where I'm not likely to bump into lots of other tourists. So I mean a place which is far away from or removed from the popular tourist places, and the answer is remote. Remote. And finally, the town appeared to be something. It was mid-afternoon, and there was not a soul to be seen. That means we couldn't see anyone. We didn't see anybody. A town appeared to be deserted. Deserted. We couldn't see anybody. There was nobody there. Okay, so that's it for this lesson on the vocabulary of travel. In the next lesson, lesson 48, we'll be looking again at the subject of passives, grammar area. So as I say, it's lesson 48. It will be me, Andy Nicol again. And that's all. So thank you once again for tuning in to this this lesson 47. I hope you found it useful. Please do have a look at the next video on the grammar of passives. We'll be looking at advanced features like it is believed that, it is said that, etc. And also to have or get something done where someone else performs a service or does a job for you. Okay, like I had my hair cut the other day. Okay, thanks a lot and bye for now.